It began with a whisper. I had been walking through the ruins of the old orbital station, a relic of humanity's first failed attempt to colonize Kepler 442b. The station had been abandoned for decades, its corridors choked with dust and silence. Every step I took echoed against the cold metal walls, a reminder that I was utterly alone. Or so I thought. My mother wants to meet you, human. The voice was faint, almost ethereal. I froze mid-step, trying to locate its source. It came again, this time from a darkened corner of the docking bay. A small figure emerged from the shadows. A child, no older than 7 by human standards. But there was something about the way it moved, too precise, too fluid, to be purely human. Its skin shimmered faintly under flickering lights, like liquid silver under moonlight. Who are you? I asked cautiously, my hand resting on the plasma cutter at my belt. I am Lyra, the child said. Its voice carried a strange melodic cadence that made my chest tighten. Please, you must come. My mother, she has waited long enough. Despite every rational instinct screaming for me to run, I followed. There was a gravity in Lyra's presence I couldn't explain, a pull, like stepping toward a truth I had always avoided. The journey took us across the shattered remnants of the station. Broken consoles sparkled with ancient data cores, their screens flickering ghostly light. Lyra led me through corridors that bent in impossible ways, twisting like the memory of a dream. The air was tinged with ozone and something floral, a scent I could not identify. It was as though the station itself had grown alive in Lyra's presence. Finally, we reached a chamber unlike any I had ever seen. The walls were translucent, revealing a city outside that defied logic. Towers of crystal, floating in orbit, their surfaces covered with luminous vines that pulsed with energy. At the center, a figure stood waiting. She was tall, impossibly tall, her form both humanoid and alien. Her skin shimmered in layers of color that shifted with her movement, like liquid opal. Her eyes were impossibly large, deep pools of violet and gold that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom, and a loneliness I could feel in my bones. You came, she said, her voice resonating not in sound but directly in my mind. Lyra ran to her and wrapped her small, metallic arms around her mother's waist. I could only nod, speechless. I am Seraphine, the woman said, and you, human, are part of a story that began long before you arrived. I had come to Kepler, 442b on a routine research mission, the kind that never promised excitement or danger. My life had been ordinary, constrained by Earth's bureaucracies and the monotony of space stations. But standing before Seraphine, I felt the world shift. The air itself seemed charged with significance. Your daughter tells me you know things about humans, Seraphine continued, that you can understand our ways, even when they are foreign. That is why I summoned you. I swallowed hard. I don't understand. Why me? Why now? Seraphine's eyes softened. Because the universe is not kind to those who ignore its patterns. Your presence here is no accident. Lyra's existence is a bridge, and the bridge needs a keeper. Lyra looked up at me, her eyes shining. Please, I need you. Over the next weeks, I learned what it meant to step into a reality I had never imagined. Seraphine was not merely an alien queen. She was a guardian of an interstellar lineage, a civilization older than humanity itself. Her people had mastered technologies that blurred the line between biology and machinery, creating sentient cities and symbiotic ecosystems. Yet despite all their power, Seraphine's race had a vulnerability humans could scarcely fathom: the fragility of emotion, the delicacy of love. Lyra was the key, born of a union between Seraphine and a human traveler centuries ago. She carried within her a genetic memory, a map of both species' destinies. Her existence threatened some of the most powerful entities in the galaxy, alien factions who feared the mixing of lineages, who viewed hybrids as abominations. I had been summoned to protect her, not with weapons alone, but with something far more fragile: empathy. Our days were spent in strange routines. I learned to navigate the city of crystalline towers, walking streets that floated above nothingness. I marveled at gardens that grew in midair, their flowers singing in harmonic resonance. I studied Seraphine's archives, reading knowledge etched into memory crystals older than Earth. At night, Lyra would speak to me in whispers, asking questions about humanity, about my world, about emotions and dreams. I found myself opening in ways I had never allowed before. Her curiosity was infectious, her innocence profound. "You humans," she said one evening as we watched the twin suns set, "you feel so many things, and yet you often do not understand why. My mother says it is a strength, but I think it is dangerous." I laughed softly, brushing a strand of her shimmering hair from her face. "Sometimes, yes, but it's what makes us alive." Then the attacks began. They came silently at first, shadow fleets that cloaked themselves in the void between planets. Drones with adaptive armor and weapons capable of disintegrating matter attacked the outskirts of Seraphine City. I was forced to confront the reality I had been naive about. The universe was not waiting for humanity to catch up. Seraphine's people fought with precision, their forms shifting fluidly, blending weapon and body into a singular entity. I learned quickly, guided by Lyra's intuition and Seraphine's wisdom. I discovered I could interface with their biotechnologies in ways I had never imagined. A human mind, combined with alien technology, was an anomaly, and a powerful one. We survived the first wave, but it became clear that the attackers were not after territory or resources. They were after Lyra. "They fear the bridge," Seraphine said, her eyes glinting with sorrow. "Without her, the prophecy collapses. With her, we may redefine the galaxy." It was during a lull in the attacks that Seraphine took me aside. She was vulnerable in a way I had never seen, her towering presence softened by exhaustion and trust. "Human," she said, her voice trembling with a resonance that shook my very core. "I have lived centuries and yet never believed in destiny. But seeing you, I realize some bonds cannot be broken by time, by distance, or by species. You have chosen to be here, to care for Lyra, and for that I am grateful." I felt my throat tighten. I don't know if I deserve your trust." "You do," she said simply, "because trust is not given, it is recognized, and I recognize it in you." The final attack came during the convergence of Kepler, 442 BS twin moons. Shadow fleets descended like a storm, ships moving faster than light. Seraphine's forces rallied, transforming the city into a living fortress. I stood at Lyra's side as she interfaced with the city's systems, her small hands guiding energy flows with a precision that stunned even me. The enemy breached our defenses, cutting a path straight toward the central tower. Seraphine stood atop the highest spire, her form radiating power beyond comprehension. And then In a moment that felt suspended in time, Lyra whispered to me, "Now, human, do what only you can do." I understood instantly. I had learned the patterns of their hybrid technology, the resonance of Seraphine's bioluminescent systems. I reached out, not with weapons, not with strength, but with connection, bridging the human and alien frequencies, weaving them into a harmonized shield. Energy crackled around us, and for a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. The shadow fleets faltered, confused, their attacks misfired, and one by one, their ships dissolved into starlight. We had survived. In the aftermath, the city shimmered in hues I had never seen. The damage was vast, but life endured. Seraphine descended from her spire, lifting Lyra into her arms. "She will grow," Seraphine said softly, "and she will guide both our peoples toward a future we could never have imagined alone. And you, human, you will always be part of that story." Lyra ran to me, her small arms wrapping around my waist. "I told you, human, everything changes." And indeed it had. My life, once ordinary, had been irrevocably transformed. I was no longer merely a visitor in the stars. I was a part of something greater, a bridge between worlds, a keeper of fragile hope that spanned the galaxy. As Seraphine and Lyra disappeared into the luminous horizon of their city, I understood that some encounters are not random. Some whispers are not mere words. They are the threads of destiny, pulling us toward a truth we never dared to imagine. And in that moment, I finally understood what it meant to belong, to matter, and to witness the impossible. The universe had changed. I had changed. And for the first time in my life, I felt ready to face whatever else lay beyond the stars.